In an event that breeds champions, a special kind of competitor is required for a special kind of challenge. Performing time after time, keeping calm under pressure. When split-second decisions can mean success or failure. This is the Extreme Sailing Series. The Extreme Sailing Series is a truly global circuit. The fleet are made up of some of the world's greatest sailing talent. 5 established teams are back, joining the fight to secure the series trophy, one of the most coveted in the sport. But it will not be easy. With so much at stake, winning the world's most elite stadium racing circuit gets noticed. There is no holding back. But push too hard and things can go badly wrong.
Oh look, they're right over! SAP!
For the season opener, the tour headed to the Middle East and Oman. The Form Guide favourites were home team and defending champions, the Wave Muscat, one of the most experienced crews on the tour.
It's going to be extremely tough, potentially a stronger lineup this year than last year, and it's day one, so everyone's, the beginning of the season nerves are there through the whole fleet.
And the British skipper had every right to be anxious. Another team had all the experience and talent to rival the Omani boat. Red Bull sailing team led by double Olympic gold medalist Roman Hagara.
I think it will be exciting racing again. Really good names in the series now, and I think the young guns will push us quite hard, and it will be a tough fight.
Former America's Cup winners Alinghi also returned this season. Skipper Ernesto Bertorelli signed the man who led his former team to second place last year, American Morgan Larson.
Alinghi asked me to join them, and it's an honor to join such a polished team, and they have a lot of history in sailing, obviously, and yeah, I'm just happy to be here.
Another key player to watch, Danish entry SAP Extreme Sailing Team. They had a challenging first year, but were optimistic that this time round they could improve quickly.
Second year on the tour. By the end of last season, I think we sailed to a pretty high level. We have a strong team, we have a fantastic support from SAP, and definitely think that we can improve the performance we put in last year.
For every event this season, there's a local invitational entry joining the racing. Here it was Team Duckham Oman, led by British Extreme 40 veteran Rob Greenhow. As the cruise got underway, the first races saw many of the teams struggle with their consistency. There were, though, exceptions. Season favourites, the Wave Muscat, came out strong.
The Wave Muscat have come out here today and they have the bit between the teeth. And it's win number 2 for Macmillan.
But the defending champions were not alone. One other team were proving more than a match.
The Red Bull sailing team again get a good start. They're sailing confidently. And it's another race win.
And things just kept improving for Red Bull. By the end of the penultimate day, the Austrians had secured an impressive 15-point advantage. The home team had a mountain to climb.
Red Bull had an exceptional day yesterday, just sailed incredibly well. I'd say today's is quite a big one. 15 points to Red Bulls are going to be a big challenge.
It may not be fast, but there's plenty of tension out here. That is the start. It's a direct head-to-head between the Wave Muscat, and there is Lee McMillan and Red Bull Sailing. It's who beats who in this race will win the first event. McMillan tacked, but where are Red Bull? Coming from the right-hand side, Red Bull, have they got the advantage? Wave Muscat are going to slide straight past the Austrian team, and if it stays like this, the home teams will be champions in Amman. Final mark. Oh, look at that, that's the gain line between the Wave Muscat and Red Bull, just says 2 meters between the boats. The Wave Muscat have got right of way, the home team round, ahead of Red Bull Sailing. I can't believe it, 15 points the advantage going into today. But the Wave Muscat, well, that says it all. Lee McMillan really did have an uphill struggle. The Wave Muscat are champions here in Amman.
It was a dream start for the home team. The Wave Muscat led the fleet after one act with Red Bull Sailing team in second. The Swiss Alinghi boat, well, they rounded out the podium in third. 1 month later, the Austrians have a chance to put things right as the tour headed to the Far East and the island nation of Singapore. Invitational team Aberdeen Singapore joined the racing, led by local skipper Scott Glenn Sydney. These were light wind conditions and it's easy to get frustrated. The Wave Muscat were not responding well, but Red Bull and Alinghi rose to the challenge.
Looks like Alinghi are going to take this one.
It's the second win of the day, and it's a second place for Austria and Roman Hagara.
With little wind for racing, it was difficult for anyone to stay consistent. But Alinghi's Morgan Larsson was one man who wasn't struggling at all.
Obviously it's tricky. We've had some luck and we can hopefully hold on to that a little bit longer, but it's really just a matter of not tripping over ourselves too soon here.
In contrast, winners of the last event, the Wave Muscat, were in danger of recording their worst result in over 2 seasons.
We felt the frustrations of the tricky conditions here. If we can actually finish on the podium, we'll still be happy.
McMillan will be glad his focus is on the long game, because on this tour things can easily go from bad to worse.
It is confirmed by race control, it's a clear start. The Red Bull have got a superstar.
Launched, absolutely launched. They've actually been the guys that have nailed it more consistently than everybody else here, but that's what you need to do in this race.
The Austrians were off, but Danish SAP were also putting points on the board. It's the Austrians, though, who are making the most of it.
Well, they're really mastering the conditions out here in Singapore. Not quite as well as Alinghi, but they're looking solid in second. It is victory for Red Bull Sailing. And look behind, Alinghi are squeezing around the mark ahead of SAP.
The wry smile from the American helmsman reflected his mood. He was dominating in the light conditions. And in the end, the outcome was almost inevitable, as Alinghi sailed over the finish line to secure their first victory of the 2013 season. And for SAP, third, their first podium and their best ever result on the tour. The Wave Muscat, 5th place, a real setback. It's a superb result for Alinghi and Red Bull as they relegate the Wave to third in the overall standings. But could the defending champions bounce back? The former Olympic city of Qingdao, China was the venue for Act 3. For one crew, a good performance here matters more than most.
In Singapore, we made a lot of mistakes. We weren't starting well. We had a good old chat about it last night and really kind of set a few things straight, and we know we can do well, just getting back into confident sailing.
And confidence is key on this tour. Emboldened by strong performances in Singapore, a number of teams were performing well, including SAP and the young Kiwi crew of GAC Pindar. And Alinghi, well, they picked up where they left off at the last event.
Well, the Swiss Alinghi team, they're leading, and that's the reality. A great start.
But right behind, the Wave Muscat were on form and pressurising the leaders. Neither team could afford to slip up now.
Oh, there's just been well, I'm not sure it was a tiny collision, but a Lingy and Real team touched. Oh, on the back of the boat, just in front of the runner, you can see that. Yeah, I think there's damage there.
With his boat damaged and his lead over the Wave Muscat gone, Larsen was left to reflect.
We were strong on the first day by doing all the small things right and keeping it simple. Today we overthought it and got ourselves into some tricky predicaments, and you know, the results showed.
With the Wave and Alinghi neck and neck, all the ingredients were in place for a nail-biting finale.
Must beat the Wave Muscat, have two boats between them for the Swiss to win overall here in China. Great start from the Wave Muscat. Alinghi looked trapped.
After 4 legs, Alinghi and the Wave were jockeying for position. There was no telling who would come out on top. For the Wave Muscat, pressure was mounting.
Shut up! Okay, cross.
Oh, Alinghi have the advantage now. Wave Muscat have to give way. And Morgan Larsen there. The Wave Muscat almost pinned against the wall, and oh, the Wave Muscat they've stalled.
Alinghi sailed past, but had they done enough to beat the Wave?
So look at that, it's a picture that Lee McMillan, oh, he won't like that. 2 boats are behind Alinghi. Stay like this and the Swiss team will win here in China. What can Lee McMillan do about it?
McMillan jibed early, one last roll of the dice.
The Wave Muscat may have done enough. Alinghi crossed the line, they've won, but oh, I think he has. Lee McMillan left it late. But the Wave Muscat have delivered an incredible comeback, second in the final race, and they will win here in China. What a finish.
But could the Wave Muscat keep the momentum going and return to the top of the overall leaderboard? The fleet now headed to Europe, where we would find out. The Extreme Sailing Series returned to Europe with racing in the heart of Porto, Portugal. This stadium provided a huge spectacle for sports fans. This is the halfway stage of the tour, and the series leaderboard is still wide open. Up at the top, defending champions, the Wave Muscat, have one thing on their minds: beating Alinghi and reclaiming the series lead. But there was a new face in town. Veteran Extreme 40 skipper Pierre Pinnock returned to the series at the helm of Real Team, and he wasn't making things easy for the British skipper.
I like the confrontation with the other boat. We play with wolves, so it's perfect for the competition and for progress.
But McMillan was here to make a statement and held advantage over Alinghi going into the final race.
After 27 races, it's so close at the front. For Alinghi to win overall here in Porto, this team must be ahead of the Wave Muscat and have 2 boats between them. The boat that gets the best start is the local Roth Cascais, and they've absolutely made the most of it. And the Wave Muscat are looking comfortable in second.
Sitting behind the Wave was not an option for Alinghi. They needed to do something radical or risk losing not only the event, but the overall series lead.
Can Larsen do something? They head upwind, and Alinghi may have gained a little. That angle tells a story, hull flying for Lee McMillan, and there's the breeze, and this could be their moment. Beautiful leg there, and it does seem that Alinghi are in lighter air and they're trapped from turning to the mark. This is their victory moment. The Wave Muscat win here in Porto.
The disappointment clear on the face of Larsen, but a fantastic event for newcomers Swiss Real Team, whose performance earned them their first podium of the series.
There's a lot of work still to be done, a lot of sailing, a lot of tough battles, and it's going to be a fight all the way to the end.
With that win, the Wave were back at the top on equal points with Alinghi. At the halfway stage, the overall winner was far from decided. After racing in the Middle East, Asia and Europe, the Tour now headed to Cardiff, Wales for the UK round of the series. The city is in the midst of festival fever. The carnival atmosphere was in full swing. Out on the water, perfect conditions and fantastic racing, all viewed by thousands on a packed bank holiday weekend. A new team also joined the circuit as a regular entry. China Spirit, led by match racing pro Phil Robertson.
You know, we're not expecting massive things, but it's an awesome place to start, and we're just thrilled to be here and yeah, ready to take it on.
China go past Oman. Oh no! Nearly lost it there.
And the Welsh fans had something to cheer about. 5 local sailors aboard Team Wales Land Rover put the new boat through its paces, and they weren't holding back. The national sport even made it out on the water, along with some international stars of the game. But for the top boats here, there was a job to be done. The story here wasn't just the Wave and Alinghi. Right behind, SAP Extreme Sailing Team and Red Bull were having quite a battle of their own.
There's the high five, there's the handshake, and there is the victory. We can definitely fight with the good teams like the Wave, Alinghi, Red Bull. We just have to keep pushing and see how far we can go.
But Red Bull were also at the top of the fleet and seemed to be gaining momentum.
And that is a view from Red Bull Sailing to Alinghi, SAP just behind.
But they lost their way.
Well, Red Bull Sailing rounded that mark, unfurled the Jenica, but that's a mistake. Alinghi carry on round the next buoy, which is the correct buoy. And after defending so well, the Austrian team have just thrown it all away.
They opened the door for SAP to make their way up the rankings.
The SAP now looking to power away. What an event they're having.
After an intense week, the final race played out in light winds, the defending champions making the most of it.
And the Wave Muscat have taken the lead. Stay like that, they're going to win the championships here. Oh, that's a beautiful mark rounding. The breeze has just increased. Well, that's exactly what Lee McMillan was wanting. And from his perspective, he looks back and he sees Alinghi trapped back of the pack. SAP are back there. In 4 days in Wales, it's a British skipper leading an Omani team to victory. Hugs on board the boat. That is victory in the British round of the Extreme Sailing Series for Lee McMillan. What an outstanding performance.
Wave Muscat's 4th event win of the season placed them back on the top of the leaderboard ahead of Alinghi. A podium for SAP means danger for Red Bull. This was their 2nd podium of the year. The Austrians left with even less margin for error as we moved into the penultimate round. Nice, France and the French Riviera sees the fleet make its 3rd appearance on these waters. This venue has a habit of providing some spectacular conditions, and this year was no exception.
Quite a big forecast, 20 knots, with gusts to 25 knots and possibly to 30 knots. But the biggest factor here are the big waves with seas to 2 meters. It's quite dangerous.
Some of the fastest, most intense racing played out over the first 2 days of competition. Local invitational team All For One joined racing here, but it was once again tour leaders the Wave Muscat and Alinghi who were setting the pace.
Here come the Wave Muscat, a big gust of acceleration as they come on the inside of SAP. Could they be stealing the lead here? Look at the distance between the Wave and Alinghi. It's not much in it, a boat length and a half if that.
But right behind, SAP and Red Bull were having quite a battle of their own.
Right now, it's SAP, and they are right at the front. It's a toss-up between SAP Extreme Sailing Team and Red Bull. It's very close.
But the dangerous conditions would soon make their mark on proceedings.
Look at SAP, the back's coming out. This could be trouble. Well, that's it, Jenica, you can see in the water, not attached to the top of the mast. It's game over for these guys.
The damage to SAP, a gift for Red Bull, who were feeling more comfortable.
We felt much better today. Guys know where to pull and what to do in the maneuvers, and also for me it was easier to make the calls. The guys were working really hard.
And the battle at the top, well, that showed no sign of fading.
With Alinghi performing at every event, we know that they're not going to slip back in this one, so as long as we can do the same, we'll go into the last event with a big head-to-head.
As the final racing began, all the crews knew the outcome of today could decide the series title. The Wave Muscat had a convincing lead, but Alinghi were by no means secure in second place after a strong event by Red Bull.
Alinghi OCS, the Swiss are over the line. Turning back now, they've got to recross the start line.
It was a terrible mistake for Alinghi, but the defending champions were off to a great start.
It's a second place and another superb performance from the defending champions.
But Alinghi had a fight on their hands.
So it is neck and neck between Red Bull and Alinghi. Remember, whoever finishes ahead of the other boat gets that second spot on the podium.
The Wave Muscat strong all event closed out the win.
For now, it is all about this man, because Lee McMillan and his crew here are winners in Nice.
And the Swiss managed to hold off the Austrians.
Squeezing around the mark to take second place overall by the skin of their teeth. It's Morgan Larsson on board Alinghi.
And that result set up what would be the closest final act in series history. 4 teams had their sights locked on the podium. Only 3 would make it. 1 act remained. Act 8, the finale, plays out here in Florianopolis, Brazil. Defending champions, the Wave Muscat hold the lead, but only just.
I'm just as hungry, if not more hungry this year for the win. It is very close between us and Morgan, and that's due to the fact that he's been performing incredibly well all year. So if we slip up here for sure, that's it.
We have the opportunity to win the series here, and we're only 2 behind them, and it's not going to take much to beat them. I tell you, I want to win these races more than anybody in the world, and if I could pick the boat up and carry it across the line, I would.
Behind, battling it out for 3rd, Red Bull's Roman O'Gara knows the pain of missing out on a podium place.
We had a quite tough season. We started quite well, had some bad results in the middle of the season, and now everything is coming together again. The team deserves a place on the podium, and that's the aim here.
Currently in 4th, Danish outfit SAP pose a real threat to the Austrians.
I want to win. The whole team wants to win, and that's why we're here. The goal is the podium, and we still have a chance to make that.
The top 4 teams are out of the traps fast and putting on a show. The Wave Muscat make their usual good start, and Alinghi are never far behind. But the young crew of GAC Pindar are also mixing it at the front and relishing the spectacular racing.
Not even Lee McMillan on board the Wave Muscat can keep pace with them at the moment. These young guys, maybe they're fearless.
As for the top 4, SAP are on form and are ripping up the Austrian lead. Then this happens.
Oh look, they're right over! SAP, that is so close. Yes, they're going over.
Now there are 3. In the end, the series championship will be decided in the final double points race. Red Bull, who have battled with SAP all season, secure the coveted 3rd spot in the end with relative ease. Alinghi need to place 5 boats between themselves and the Wave Muscat to take the overall win. But Larsson and the Alinghi crew dare to think the unthinkable. They sailed the race of their lives and come within a hair's breadth of stealing the win.
That is a win for Alinghi, the Swiss team taking the win in the final race of today. Alinghi are our victors here in Brazil. Coming in 5th place, it's Lee McMillan on board the Wave Muscat. You know what that means. That is the series for him. It may not be Brazil, but it is certainly the 2013 series. An extraordinary performance from both the Omani team and the Swiss team.
I'm pretty chuffed with that. We had to be absolutely squeaky clean today in order to be able to pull it off, and we are delighted to have won the series.
So the 2013 Extreme Sailing Series wraps up after 190 races in 7 acts from iconic venues around the world. We return in 2014 with a host of exciting new venues and a starting grid filled with even more world-class elite level teams. See you then.